Welcome to day 12. We're going to talk about vulnerability today. Now, I mentioned vulnerability at the top of this confidence week, and I said I would get here, right? I would go easy on you. We're going to talk about vulnerability, but not just vulnerability, but how you can use it actually in your work that you do to your advantage. So, when you think about people who have stage fright, 50% of the population supposedly has stage fright. I know I did for years and years and years, and more recently, I was able to overcome that. I talk about how in my book, It's About Damn Time, the Share Your Voice with the World chapter. But why do we have stage fright? If you have stage fright, think about why you have stage fright. For many of us, and I know for me, it was because one of the reasons was that I thought if I don't know the answer to something, or if I say something wrong, I will be embarrassed and I'll get all caught up. I won't be able to get back on track. Then that will make me embarrassed. And then I'll just want to run off stage. And like even thinking about it gets my body a little hot, like just kind of having like a flashback to it. And it's this idea of I'm going to be vulnerable on stage. I'm going to be vulnerable to messing up. And I think that's a very natural human way of looking at things. But if you think about the fact that, hey, let's say I went out and I got everything wrong, I would still walk off that stage. To this day, I don't think anybody has died of embarrassment. Although you can prove me wrong, tell me if I'm wrong about that, let me know. But to this day, I don't think anybody has died of embarrassment. And so just that idea that's holding so many of us back is really interesting. Now, what I have learned over the past decade, working in venture capital, working in the different industries that I work in, meeting with so many different millionaires and billionaires, is that vulnerability is actually an asset for you. Now, I don't mean a certain type of just being somebody's punching bag and just telling everybody all of your business all the time, crying on demand and command, right? Just like using emotions to manipulate people. That is not vulnerability. What I'm talking about is sharing more of yourself on a general basis with the world. Because, okay, so here's an illustration I have. I studied. I took a couple of boxing lessons a few years ago, right? And one of the first things I learned that I was told was when you're boxing, like push your breath out. So get rid of the breath in your stomach because when someone punches you in the stomach, if you've already taken the breath out of your stomach, then they can't knock you out. They can't knock your breath out, right? They can't do a gut punch that hurts so much. So to me, it's the same way. If you're already a vulnerable person, if you're already a transparent person, and you have come to terms with people knowing not so flattering things about you, the things that make us human, then it'll be harder for somebody to attack you. It's harder for somebody, like they'll still try, believe me, they'll still try, but that punch won't land the same as they thought it would because you've already said, I am human, I am vulnerable, this has happened to me. Think about someone like The Rock, someone who's known for being literally for being a strong person. What do we know about The Rock? Well, we know about all of his muscles and we know about his acting and his money, but we also know that he has a turbulent relationship with his father, that he grew up poor, that he grew up and he had all these embarrassing things happen. We know that because he told us. We know that because he shared that with us. And now you can't come out of nowhere and have this thing happen to him where there's this big scandal because he was vulnerable with us. And now it actually made us want to lean in more and know more about him. And it made the whole package more interesting. So being vulnerable is actually an interesting marketing tool. And it's human. It's a connection, way of connecting with people because you're not going to be perfect. Nobody is perfect. So I would encourage you to think of ways, how can you be more vulnerable? How can you let some of the air out a little bit so that you are bringing, full pieces of yourself to the fore and therefore, relating to other people. It also will help other people. It will help other people to see your example and to see that they are not alone. The people that may not have as strong a voice as you have, because over time you are going to build and build and build a stronger and stronger voice. You're going to have more and more influence over more and more people. And if you can give back by simply being yourself, that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. We talked about that yesterday.